the Ninja Foodi 2-basket air fryer. I'm Darnell with Wave on Recipes. Let's get this unboxed right now. Alright, so there it is. Ninja Foodi 2-basket air fryer. Of course, with air fryer you can do up to like 75% less fat, as they mentioned. It's got a DualZone technology for different temps and different times on different sides. Lots of neat stuff. Let's get it out of this box here. Alright, so basically this is it that comes out of the box, this and your packet of paper. So I'm going to get some of this stuff unwrapped. And so just to kind of show you some of the stuff you get in here, you get kind of like this, of course, the standard warning guide. You get some Kickstarter recipes here in this little book here. Give you a little bit to start with. You got a quick start guide, and you've got your full manual. Alright, so I'll just open up here and see this is one basket, and it's just got this cardboard in here just for packing sake. There, got your other basket here, just got some cardboard in it. That's just for the sake of packing. And inside of this basket, it has a crisper bottom there that you put your food on to keep it crisp, so it doesn't touch the bottom and can crisp on both sides. So each one has the same thing on each side, and that's basically it. You've got your baskets that go in there. That number one and number two. Just give you a view around the back. Here at the back you got some back vents on the back there. It's also got some air vents around the top here. And this power cord is a 2.6 foot cord. It's just a 2-prong cord. And these plates on the bottom are formerly called the crisper plates, by the way. These are little plates that you can pull out there. That's your crisper plate. I just want to show, if you want to see what's inside the cooker, I'll take both these out. So you can see maybe up inside there are basically heating elements on both of them on the sides here. Each one has a heating element in there that basically takes up the whole top area. There's no side or bottom heating. But what's supposed to happen is the air circulates. It's supposed to basically get the air, hot air all around anyway. And the vents around the top are for intake. The vents on the back are where air blows out, the hot air blows out. And the temperature ranges for this cooker are between 105 degrees Fahrenheit up to 450 degrees Fahrenheit. The cooker is 1690 watts, so that's 1690 in wattage. So the cooker can cook foods in both zones separately, but since it only has 1690 watts, that's not as high as like 1800 watts or 1850 watts. So we'll see how this performs. And this cooker weighs in at just under 18 pounds. And the spec dimensions that they mention in the spec are 15.63 inches in length, and the width is 13.86 inches, and the height is supposed to be 12.4 inches. And each basket has a 4-quart capacity, so you have a total altogether of 8 quarts with this cooker. Alright, now that I've basically got things out the box, it took a moment to basically clean things off, because that's good to do, because you don't know what type of stuff from packing might be on stuff. But I wanted to show you with these baskets, they're metal. They're metal. The crisper plate that goes inside is also metal, and it has some rubber feet on the bottoms here, and those rubber feet are something to take note of. I do suspect in time, those will probably wear down, maybe even start falling off and wearing apart and such in time, possibly. And they do sell as an accessory, these plates, if you need a replacement. Now I want to start doing some measuring, just so you have some idea for measurements. So you're probably wondering how much distance is here on the basket on the inside, and you've got about 8.5 inches that way. This way you've got about 6 inches this way. So that's for each basket. And going to measure also from the bottom of one of the crisper plates to the top, you have 4 inches that way. So just double that, and that's what you have for each one. We can also do some quick measuring ourselves of the exterior of the cooker. So we see that long ways here we do have, I'd say, just that a little, just a hair under 15 inches this way. Well, actually, yeah, just a hair under 15 inches. Now this way here, we've got about 9 inches. That's not including the handles. If you include the handles, you've got about, let's see, about 13 inches there. And for the height of the cooker, we have just under 13 inches of height there to consider. You do want to ensure that with this cooker, like any other, give it clearance on all sides. Only use it on surfaces that are appropriate for using some type of cooker. Don't try and pull any shortcuts. Now, just to give you a side-by-side comparison, this is the NuWave Brio 14Q digital air fryer oven next to the Ninja Foodi double basket air fryer here. And we see that the Brio is taller, but a little more narrow than the Ninja. And front to back, the Brio is definitely longer front to back. Now a quick size comparison with the Cuisinart Chef's Convection toaster oven, which is the same size as the NuWave Bravo XL Smart Oven. We see that the Cuisinart is way longer in length. Front to back, it's bigger. Height-wise, the Ninja is just a little taller. But basically, generally speaking, the Ninja is smaller overall than a lot of other cookers, even though it's a dual basket. And a quick comparison with the Emeril Lagasse Power Air Fryer 360 XL. I mean, this is just smaller. I mean, there's no need even getting into the, differences in the different dimensions or angles. This just dwarfs this. I don't know. You probably could contort this and cook it inside of here. So just a quick word of observation. Obviously, given those size comparisons and knowing that you can only cook inside of these two baskets, if you're already using a very large sized convection toaster oven or cooker, not sure if this is going to necessarily fit the bill if you're cooking for a very large family. This is going to give you some advantages of being able to cook in 2 different baskets and such like that. But if you want to do some real large scale cooking, you got some depth there to do some work with and two, but it's up to you as far as this versus other large cookers. Alright, so now let's do an initial plug-in and power on. So we're going to plug the cooker in, so getting it plugged in here. And after plug-in, it just kind of sits there doing nothing, and you have a power button, so we'll hit power, and gives a nice little quick light up display there. And one thing I want to make sure to point out, when you're cooking with this cooker, if you're doing more than just a single layer of food, you want to make sure that you pause and kind of shake the food they recommend to make sure that you get even cooking. Same rules that you do with other basket air fryers pretty much apply with this one, except for you have 2 baskets going on. Alright, now I want to talk about the different function buttons that are here on the cooker. Here we have the Air Broil. Air Broil basically adds crispiness to meals, is a finishing touch to kind of do your broiling. Next there's Air Fry, and Air Fry basically is to air fry your food, give it crispiness and crunch without a lot of oil. Next we have the Roast function, and you can use it as a roaster to tenderize meats and other things, although you're not going to get a very large roast in here. There's no way when we speak about roast that you can like break down both sides to put something across both sides. You just cannot do that. So you're never going to be able to leverage both sides to their full capacity of being able to like just break this middle partition down and put something across both sides. No, you have to put some in here and some in there. That's the only way it works. There's a reheat function so that you can warm your leftovers. There's a dehydrate function to dehydrate foods. There's a bake function to create, baked goods. You have over here your temperature arrows to adjust your temperature, You have time to adjust time. Basically, you're going to hit like 1 or 2 for which basket you're adjusting temperature and time on. If you want to have everything finish kind of at the same time, even though things are cooking at different temperatures or different zones, you could use a smart finish. The smart finish button ensures that everything will finish at the end. So let's say one thing's cooking for 20 minutes, another thing's cooking for 15 minutes. The thing that will cook for, let's say over here is 15 minutes, over here is cooking 20 minutes. This thing over here that's cooking for 15 is going to be on hold for the first 5 minutes until it gets to the same time. Then this one's going to start cooking and they'll count down together, even though you may use different temperatures on each side so that everything finishes at the same time. If you use the match cook button, basically you could just put in your settings on one and do match cook, and both sides are going to basically be identical. And there's the start pause button here to start and pause a cook. And something to point out about Air Broil also is that Air Broil can't be used on both zones at the same time. It can only be used on one zone at a time. You can't Air Broil on both sides simultaneously. Now, if you were doing a cook and you wanted to pause one side versus the other, you could, let's say you were cooking on both sides and you wanted to pause zone 2, you hit 2 and you would hit pause, and it would pause the cook while the other zone would continue cooking, and you could open up, shake things around, close it back up, and hit your start again to get zone number 2 going again if you needed to do something differently on both sides. If you are doing something like a match cook and you hit like pause and such, it can stop both sides and you can do what you got to do on both sides at the same time. And with these types of air fryers, you can't see your food, so it's important, and they stress to frequently open up and check your food. That is a drawback for this type of cooker. You can't see it. You have to keep checking to make sure that everything is good. Since the baskets, these baskets are kind of tight. If you wanted to try and put some type of meat thermometer in that wasn't wireless type, it'd be kind of, tough trying to lock things in like that with a wired type of a probe or something, or a cord or something. That'd be kind of tough to do. Now, let's say that you were cooking on both zones and you wanted to stop one zone but let the other one continue cooking. So let's say I had both cooking and I wanted to let 2 keep cooking, but I wanted to stop one. You would go over to 1 and you would set your time down to 0. So that's the way that you stop one zone but let the other zone continue cooking. And you could, of course, just manipulate both zones individually and have them finish whenever you want, just doing both as separate cooks. One of my kids, he's pretty excited about this because he'll be able to cook something in one zone and Dad will be able to cook something in the other zone, and we won't be interrupting each other like we do with some other cookers. And you can also, of course, just use one side without using the other side. You can just, hit 1 and put your food in and do what you want to do, or hit 2 and put your food in, do what you want to do, and just cook on one side as a single basket air fryer and not do anything on the other side. And with like any air fryer, including this one, it blows air around, so they mention to be careful with lightweight foods that they could get blown around in here, because there has to be a lot of air circulating and building up to get things hot all around, because as I mentioned, there's no heating elements on the bottoms and sides, so the air from the top has to really do a lot of circulating. And they do mention that you can use a little bit of oil if you need to. I will mention with these basket type air fryers, you really want to be careful with how much oil you use, because with these types of cookers, if things start getting smoky, it could get really crazy. Now, one thing to keep in mind is that this cooker has no preheat. Again, I repeat, no preheat function at all. So if you want to preheat, you're going to have to kind of do it manually yourself, maybe run it for some minutes in advance of putting your food in if you want to do a preheat. Now let's go more in depth with these function buttons. I'm going to start by talking about the bake function over here. And the bake function, you can cook, basically when you use the bake function, you want to cook at 25 degrees less than you normally would in like a conventional oven or something. If you're trying to use a recipe from a conventional oven, it can cook from up to 1 minute up to 4 hours in the bake function. And the temperature ranges we can see for bake, well, that's actually time. We're going to do the temperature. So just seeing how high it goes for that, it goes up to 400, only 400 per bake. And the lowest temperature when you're doing the bake function, it goes down to a 250 degrees. So between 250 to 400 degrees is what you get on bake. Now I'm going to do a little discussion of roast here. Roast, you can cook from 1 minute to 4 hours. And let's see the temperature ranges for roast. Temperature range for roast up to 400, and you can go down as low as maybe 250 again. So there we go, 250 to 400 again. And for reheat, we'll click on reheat here. For reheat, you can do 1 minute to 1 hour of time in cooking. And let's see what our temperature ranges are for reheat. We again are at a top of 400, and our lowest temperature for reheat are 270, not 250. 270 is the lowest you get for reheat. That's pretty interesting. So now we're going to have a look at dehydrate. And with dehydrate, you can put some food in before you put the crisper plate in. You could like take the crisper plate out, put some food in, and then you could put the crisper plate in and put some more food on top of the crisper plate so that you can, dehydrate as much as possible is what they recommend. And this is the only function where they mention, putting some food in and then maybe putting the plate on top of it or something like that. But dehydrate has a cook time of 1 hour up to 12 hours of cooking time. Let's see what our temperature ranges are for dehydrate. For dehydrate, we can go down to 105 degrees Fahrenheit. We can go up to a maximum of 195 degrees Fahrenheit for dehydrate. Now let's talk about air broil. Over here on air broil, you can, remember, only use one zone for air broil, and you want to use the crisper plate with air broil. And you can do between 1 minute to 30 minutes of cooking time, maximum of 30 minutes cooking time. And for air broil, our maximum is the 450 max. The lowest we can do on air broil is 400. So just between 400 and 450 on the air broil setting. Now I'm going to do a little test here. You folks know that I use homemade bread. So I'm going to take some of my homemade bread, and Lord willing, my homemade bread won't be too big for this cooker, but we shall see if it's too big or not. So my homemade bread, just one slice, fits in a basket, just to give you an idea there. That's kind of funny. But I'm going to put a slice in each one of these. And I guess anytime, if I had something where I'm cooking 2 slices, it could be a really big sandwich. I would have to use both sides there. But I've got those in there. And what I want to try here in this test, I'm going to put it on an air fry here. And I'm going to run it up. Well, actually, I'm going to use the air broil for 450 because I want to do 450. And I just want to do 450 for a time of 5 minutes. I'm going to take it down to 5 minutes. And I'm going to click the match cook so that, oh, we can't match cook. My bad. Can't match cook on air broil. So we'll do an air fry. That's going to be real easy to forget. 400. And we'll do 400 for 5 minutes. And we're going to do a match cook. But you see what happens when you try and do air broil on both sides. It says no, you can't do it. So now we've got 5 minutes, we got a match cook, and I'm going to hit start. So I'm going to let that cook for 5 minutes, bring you back in 5 minutes. And I just want to let you hear it while it's running so you hear how loud it is. I'll say in comparison with some other air fryers, it's not as loud as say the Emeril Lagasse's power air fryer ovens, the regular order 360 XL, well the 360 XL order 360. It's not as loud as the Emeril Lagasse power air fryer 360 line when they get real loud. But it's probably more along the lines of a little quieter than a NuWave Brio 14Q. I mean, a NuWave Brio 14Q is audible, but this is about as audible as a NuWave Brio 14Q digital air fryer oven, but just a tad quieter in my opinion. So we'll let this continue, and when it's done, I'm going to real quick do a temperature test with my heat gun in there as best I can, just to see. And it's not very reflective in there, so we may be able to get a decent look at what the temperature is if it reached 400 degrees Fahrenheit in 5 minutes of running, and we'll see what's going on in there in a moment. Alright, we're coming into the final seconds here, and so I'm going to pop it open as soon as it's done. It's doing like a cool down, but while it's doing that cool down, I'm going to test temperature, and I'm reading 273, 277. I'm not reading anything near 400 where I'm able to test. So we see in 5 minutes the bread didn't get a very hard toasting. It does a little bit of a cool down, I guess, there, and then it says it's over and done with. But my bread is toasted. It's hard, it's crispy, but it's not like brown. It's not seared after 5 minutes. Now this bread did come out of the refrigerator because I've had this bread for a little while, so it was kind of coming out refrigerator cold, but still all the same. In 5 minutes, I feel like I probably, quite honestly, would have done better in something like my Cuisinart digital air fryer toaster oven or my Cuisinart chef's convection toaster oven even. I'm pretty certain I would have done better than this level. I mean, it is crisp, but there's no searing at all. I'm a little disappointed. There's not a bit of searing after 5 minutes at 400 degrees Fahrenheit. I do think that, you know, other cookers I've seen better performance from in this regard. And I guess, you know, as noted by doing the temperature test, it never got close to 400 degrees in that 5 minutes of running at its max temperature for an air fry. So that's something to keep in mind. You might want to kind of like, you know, preheat it before you, well, you know, kind of do a manual preheat, maybe for 5 minutes at its temperature, and then, you know, maybe even 10 minutes at its temperature, you know, to try and get it to the target temperature before you start cooking your food is something to consider. Alright, so now we're going to try and bake some biscuits up in here, and I don't even know if we'll be able to fit them all in, but you're supposed to heat to 350 degrees Fahrenheit before you start baking, but I'm just going to go ahead and put these in anyway because this doesn't have a formal preheat, and I don't want to, I guess, once it's all real hot, trying to get stuff down in there as delicate as biscuits down onto the plates. So it's still a little warm in there from our toast test, and that's what we're going to go with to start. So I'm just going to go ahead and get this open and start putting some biscuits down on those plates, and then we'll just run it at the prescribed 350 degrees Fahrenheit. We won't come less. Well, I guess you could do 325 for dark non-stick cookie sheet. We could do 325. We'll do 325, and you're supposed to be able to do 13 to 16 minutes. From what I saw with the toast test, I'm going to give it a whole 20 minutes. I'm going to give it a full 20 minutes at 325, and we're going to see what we get. I'm going to just start distributing these around in there, and put some on the other side as well. So one there, one there. It looks like I'm gonna, you know, have to squeeze 8 in. I mean, kind of squeeze that over there. I'll kind of squeeze this one over here a little bit. We're probably going to touch a little bit. And you know, I know some folks, yeah, you want to do your biscuits together so they're touching and bunched and, you know, kind of get gooey together. I kind of do mine separate just to see how even and fluffy they'll cook separate. That's my style. That's my way. So I got them both in. I'm going to hit the bake button and going to do 325, and I'm going to do a time of 20 minutes. So 20 minutes. Going to click the match cook so that both sides do the same, and click start. And so we'll let that run for 20 minutes. Alright, so the biscuits just finished and they're on the cool. So you see after 20 minutes what we got were some fairly fully cooked biscuits. So getting all of these out of here, and we'll check the other side. See if we got similar. They came off the bottom really easy. Very, you know, very easy to get them off, no sticking at all. So we see 20 minutes was probably a little much. We probably could have done 325 at something like, you know, maybe 15 minutes, and may have gotten ourselves some evenly cooked biscuits. So for something longer, like the biscuits, we did see things get fully cooked all the way through. They're still pretty hot, but going to show you there, you got a layer. Inside is soft, inside is very soft. So didn't, burn my biscuits, but did give them a real nice outside coating there of a nice brown cook without burning them. And that's after 20 minutes at 325, no preheat at all. And so with that, for baking, it did okay. It did okay. And so we're going to go ahead and set our biscuits over here. Alright, so for the next cook test here, I've got something that is very hard to cook, takes a good while to cook, a turkey burger, and I've got some frozen French fries. So we're going to try these together, and we're going to try these with the Smart Finish, cooking one longer than the other, see how they do. The inside of there is still a little warm from cooking up the biscuits. We're reading about 163, 165 on that side. So we're in the 160s. Things are not very hot. I wouldn't say it's preheat warm in there at all. But I'm going to go ahead and put the turkey burger over here on side number 2. Close up. I'm going to put the fries over here on side number 1 in a single layer. We're trying to make a single layer of fries on side number 1. And close things up with that. And now I'm going to set side number 1 to a temperature on air fry of, let's go up to the 400, and let's just do a cook time of 10 minutes of those. So just 10 minutes at 400 degrees Fahrenheit. Probably shouldn't cook those fries very hard at all. And over here on side number 2, we're going to do a temperature with the Air Broil going all the way up to 450, and I'm going to do a time of, going to do like, let's say 22 minutes maybe. We'll do 22 minutes. Let's give it a little extra time to try and broil up that turkey burger real nice. And we're going to do a Smart Finish by clicking the Smart Finish button and hit start. And so we've got a hold going on this side. As you can see, it's saying hold because it's waiting to get down to about the last 10 minutes of this side before it starts cooking both. So this one's cooking for now. We're going to let this continue. I'll bring you back when we get near the end of this. Alright, we're coming to the final 10 seconds. I'm going to check temps again since this side's supposed to be 450. I'm just going to check it and we'll see what's going on. And so it's doing that cool down, and inside we're at like 426, 420, so it did get pretty hot over there this time. You see that turkey burger after 20 minutes is pretty, it's really hard cooked. So it really did a number on that. Let's see what's going on with the fries. The fries, they did get lightly cooked. So, I think it did, do the DualZone thing real nice. That did work out really well. So let me get the rest of those fries out of here. And with the fries, we can see the fries are, they're cooked. They're pseudo crisp. So that's about what I was expecting. That's very good. For the turkey burger, it's too far gone. It's, probably needed about 15 minutes at that 450. So, it's very well, super well done, and that's 22 minutes. That is better than a lot of other air fryers to do that broil that hard in 22 minutes. Some others, 22 minutes would have definitely not been, that hard cooked at all. So it seems like when you let this cook for a little bit so that it can really get burning, it'll really, it'll really do some work for you. And you got to be careful, that you don't overcook things. But if you're going to cook something that's only going for like, maybe about 5 minutes or so, and you're just doing your air fry, then, you're not going to get things as hard to cook. So it's pretty interesting there. Shorter things, it's not going to do as hard to cook on or as quickly as some other cookers. But for things where it's got to go for a while and get real heated up, It does a great job. You got to be careful. It's going to really tear your stuff up. You're going to have to go less time than a lot of other cookers with this one. And the dual zone thing works out real nice. You see those pries were perfectly protected, although the other side was getting crisped up. That's very interesting stuff. Alright, now that we've done plenty of cooking, let's talk about cleaning. You want to fully clean after every use. I didn't clean after the first two because I knew they didn't leave any mess. But any cook where there's any residue or anything, you do want to clean, because if you try and cook something else after, something that leaves anything behind, you're going to risk that stuff starting to burn, that corroded stuff starting to burn and making a lot of excess smoke for you, which you don't want. And also for cleaning, basically, you get these baskets out over here, and you can, after things are really fully cooled off, you'd want to unplug it. You get these baskets out of here, and you can use like a wet, damp cloth with some, mild type of detergent, not dripping wet though, and just kind of wipe all the outside and inside of the unit to get it all, really nicely wiped down. Then you want to just wipe any excess soap off, but you want to use something that's not, you don't want to have anything dripping. You don't want any dripping water to get in anything and damage your unit. You just want it to be, just a little damp and just wipe things off good. The crisper plates in here, they can be washed in the dishwasher or by hand, and they don't specify a rack level if you put them in the dishwasher. The baskets though, they recommend doing by hand, but you're able to put them in the dishwasher, and they say the lifespan will be shorter if you put these baskets in the dishwasher. And although the baskets have, metal on the outside of them here, these handles and such are all plastic, so that's something to keep in mind there. Alright, so let's talk about the warranty for this cooker. It comes with a 60-day money-back guarantee and a 1-year limited warranty. That's a lot nicer deal than some other company cookers that we know about, but we won't go there. Basically, this cooker, as you saw, it can get the job done, especially when it's cooks that would normally take a little bit of time. For the real quick stuff, it's going to come in a little low, a little under. But for the stuff that needs to cook for a little bit, it's going to knock it out, and it's going to really tear through it, especially if you use that air broil. You want to be careful there. But it can do a nice air fry touch, and you can have stuff in both zones, and you don't have to worry about, oh, is one side sitting there going to get overcooked or something. No, it does a great job, finishing up both things at the same time, but you just got to make sure that the one that's cooking the longer amount of time, you don't overcook that, because this thing gets, can burn some stuff up real good if you overcook it. So, we see it can bake. It can also, you can try and do your toast with it, but I wouldn't throw out my toaster when it comes to toasting things. I think for quick hit toast, some other cookers and things, and even your regular toaster might do better for you in that regard. But anyway, seems like a pretty nice cooker. Seems like it works out real nice. Really like that dual zone thing. You can be cooking one thing, somebody else can be cooking something else, or you can cook two separate things at the same time and have them finish at once when you're cooking up a meal. It's not as big as a lot of other cookers, but all the same, for its design, first of its kind, let's point that out. This is a first of its kind type of thing. This is a pretty nice cooker out the gate by Ninja for a first of its kind type of dual zone air fryer. So I like it. And so, I definitely hope that you did like this video. And if you did, you can definitely give this video a thumbs up. You can leave your comments. You can also check in the video description for different referral links and stuff that I have and ways to help this channel. And also, you can also share this video with a friend. Subscribe to the channel, please. And hit that notification bell also. And good eating.